Okay, so let's get started, everyone. My name is Soo Kim. And have you been to eFuture webinar before? We've been doing these webinars for the past 2 years. Oh, yes, you have. Okay, that's good. So you know me. Yeah. My name is Sue, and I've been with eFuture for more than 10 years. I was in the editorial team before, and now I'm in the international team. And we used to do a lot of teacher training. You know, we travel and do teacher training, and we meet the teachers, and but with this pandemic, we cannot really travel. That's why we've been doing a lot of webinars last year and the year before. And we'll do some more this year. Okay. So let's look at my second slide. So Happy New Year, everyone. This year is the year of the tiger. Okay, can you see the tiger here? Yeah, so people born in the year of tiger are born leaders. Okay, they are very courageous, energetic, love a challenge, and they are prepared to take risks. Anyone born in the year of the tiger? Anyone? No? Do you know the year of the animal for your birth year? You can look at this chart. I'm a rooster, right? Okay, so let's move on to our next slide. I just want to say Happy New Year and Happy New Year of the Tiger. Lucy, you're a pig. Okay, pig is good, right? Okay, so now welcome to the first webinar of 2022, and we've got the plan for all these webinars this year. So we'll have one webinar per month. Okay, and look at all these topics. They're all very interesting topics, and we'll have the experts as usual. And yeah, you can find out more information about the webinars on our website or on Facebook. Okay, and we'll provide certificates for the webinars, but not for today. Today is like a general introduction, and I'm giving you some tips on curriculum design. So today there'll be no certificate, but from next month, there'll be a certificate. Okay, so let's do a quick poll. Yeah, pig, loyal and honest, right? And lucky too, I think. Yeah, very lucky. Prosperous as well, I think. Okay, anyway, let's do a quick poll. I have 3 or 4 questions for you. Okay, so just click the answers, click the options. Okay, can you see the poll? Number 1 is, how did you find out about this webinar? Okay, did you find out about this webinar through our website? Or eFuture social media like Facebook or Instagram, or eFuture newsletter? Or did you get the information from our partners? Okay, our partners in our local partners we have partners in different countries, and they send you email and WhatsApp messages and things like that. Okay, so, or some other sources, maybe through your friends or other teachers. Okay, so that was number 1. And number 2, are you using eFuture Books now, or have you used eFuture Books before? Yes or no? Number 3, which level are you teaching? Are you teaching kindergarten level or elementary level, secondary, or other adults maybe? Okay, and what's your school type? Are you teaching at a public school, private school, international school, or English language school, or language centers, or after school class, freelance, homeschool, other tutoring? Oops, number 5 was a mistake, right? Don't worry about number 5. So just 4 questions. Okay, did you finish? Okay, let me share the result. Are you still doing it? Okay, now I'll close it. You cannot submit. Did you click the options? Oh, don't worry about it, Maria. If you cannot submit, that's okay. Oh, really? Submit option is not able. Okay, some of you can do it, some of you cannot. It's okay if you cannot do it. That's all right. I just want to get some background information. Yeah, okay. Okay, I just want to find out more about you. Okay, then I'll finish the poll. Okay, and then I can share the result. Okay, so you find out about this webinar through our partners' email and WhatsApp messages and also social media, eFuture social media. And all 50% of you have used eFuture Books or using eFuture Books now, and 50% of you are not using eFuture Books. Okay, interesting, 50-50. And most of you are elementary, primary level. And you are teaching private school and public school and English language school. And some of you are homeschooling as well. Okay, thank you. Now I have some background information about you. Okay, that's good. So let's talk about curriculum design. Okay, if you do curriculum design on a large scale, you know, it involves a lot of time, resources, and people. So for example, if Ministry of Education is changing the curriculum, the school curriculum, then that's a very big job, right? So today we are not going to talk about those things, right? We'll talk about the small scale curriculum design. And this is usually done by teachers. And you are probably the ones who have to choose the curriculum, right? Or choose the books. So to prepare or improve a course or to choose a program or book. Okay, so we'll just talk about this small scale curriculum design today. Okay, so I'll introduce the basic steps. Okay, and I'll provide practical tips and I'll show you some examples. Okay, and most of those examples are from eFuture Books. Okay. So when you are designing a curriculum or planning a curriculum, you have to be flexible, okay? And you might have to adapt because sometimes it's not easy to find a perfect program or perfect book for your course or your class, okay? So you might have to adapt. So you have to be flexible. And we are teachers, right? We are very flexible. We have to adapt, right? We have to take care of our students in different situations, right? So you might have to work within the constraint or work around the constraint. Okay, so be flexible. I'd like to introduce this curriculum design process or a model. Okay, look at this diagram. Have you seen this before? No? It might look a little bit complicated, but no, it's not complicated at all. It's very simple, okay? And this is probably the easiest model that you can follow when you design the curriculum or you plan the curriculum, okay? This is from Paul Nation's research called Designing and Improving a Language Course, okay? This model it's been around for a long time, but I think this is still the best model that you can follow. Okay, so let's look at these blue ones first, right? Principles, needs, and environment. Okay, so the first thing you can do is making a list. Okay, so look at these blue circles first and then make a list. Think about your environment. Okay, and then make a list. Think about the needs. Okay, what do your students need? And then make a list. And think about the principles of language learning and language teaching and write down maybe 2 or 3 key factors. Okay, so we are going to do this together, right? So don't worry if you're not sure what you have to do, okay? You're not scared, are you, by looking at this model, right? I hope not. Okay, I'll go through this with you together, okay? So don't worry. So let's look at the environment first, okay? What's your teaching environment, okay? Is it ESL or EFL? I think most of you are teaching in EFL environment, right? And I'll talk about this in more detail. Age, right? Some of you are teaching elementary school students. Some of you are teaching secondary. Some of you kindergarten, okay? So age is very important factor when you are deciding a program or a book. Available time and resources, okay? How much time do you have? How many classes per week? And how long is your class? 45 minutes, 50 minutes, 1 hour? Okay, so think about your teaching environment. And resources. Do you have other teachers who can work together with you? Or maybe you can think about the school budget as well, right? Sometimes the budget is limited, okay? Or like teaching materials, okay? Class size. Okay, how many students do you have in your class? 12, 15, 30, or sometimes more, 50. Okay, so how are these factors affecting the curriculum? Okay, that's what we are going to think about. Okay, so make a list of the environment first. So let's look at EFL and ESL. Okay, so most of you are teaching in EFL environment. Korea is EFL environment, okay, because Korean students are studying English as a foreign language. Okay, they only speak English maybe in the classroom, right? But when they go home, they'll speak Korean. When they go shopping, when they go to the movies, you know, they'll speak Korean everywhere. But if a Korean student goes to Canada to study English, and then that's ESL environment, right? So there's a big difference between EFL and ESL. So for EFL students, limited time, limited exposure, and limited opportunities to speak English, right? And their vocabulary is very basic. For ESL students, they have more time, they have more exposure, they are exposed to English 24 hours a day, and their vocabulary is bigger, right? And if you look at the starting line here, ESL students and native, they are already ahead of EFL students, right? They are far away from EFL students, and you have to work hard to catch up, right? So you have to make things easy and simple and systematic and more efficient for EFL students. And EFL curriculum should focus on essential targets, right? Because we don't have enough time. We cannot do everything. We have to focus on the essential things, right? And we have to focus on more frequently used words and expressions. And logical sequence is very important. And systematic progress is very, very important. And of course, we have to do more practice, right? And we have to do more link and review so that we can remember. And if you use ESL curriculum for EFL environment, maybe it'll be too difficult for our students, maybe too many targets, too much content. And sometimes you find mixed targets, right? The levels are all mixed or mixed order, right? These things will make studying English very difficult for EFL students. So when you are choosing a program or when you're choosing a book, you know, please think about EFL and ESL. Okay, now let's move on to needs. Okay, so what do your students need to know? Sorry, I made a mistake there. What do your students need to know? And what do they know and don't know? And what do they want? Okay, so you can make a list of these things. What do they need? What do they need to know? So maybe you can make a realistic list of the language items or skills to be achieved. And then you can later match that with the goals, right? What do they need? What do my students need? Okay. And then think about the principles. What's the most important teaching and learning principles? Are they applied in the course? So when you are choosing a book or a program, okay, try to find the principles, okay, and how they are applied in the book. Okay. So use research or theory of language teaching and learning to guide decision on course design. Okay, but sometimes it's quite difficult, right? What principles, what language learning principles or what language teaching principles, right? If you're not sure, don't worry, because you should be able to find some information, right, from the book or from the program. And if you cannot find any information like this in the book, then you might have to think again, right? What's the principle? What's the philosophy? What's the methodology behind these books? Okay, so yeah, find out the information first. So this is from Let's Smile, our course book for elementary level. And we provide information like course approach. And we talk about the 21st century skills and CLIL and the importance of communication. Okay, and then we have the course philosophy and the features of the course. Okay, so find out these information before you choose the book. Okay, and is this appropriate? Is this suitable for our students? Okay, is this what you're looking for? Okay, and this is for hand in hand. Okay, and we usually provide this information in the teacher's manual. Okay, so please check out the teacher's manual before you choose the program. Okay, so we talked about the environment, needs, and the principles. Okay, so basically you think about your own environment, make a list, okay, and think about what your students need, okay, and what principles, okay, what methodology, what philosophy. Okay. Now let's move on to the inner part of the circle. Okay, so let's look at the goal first. Okay, so number 1, goals. Number 2, content and sequencing. Number 3, format and presentation. Number 4, monitoring and assessing. Okay. Any questions so far? Are you okay? Are you all following me? This is easy, right? Basically, you just have to make a list. Yeah, so far, so good. Okay. Okay, that's good. Oh, yeah, I can see the big thumb there, and that's good. Okay, now let's look at the goals, right? This is probably the most important thing that you have to think about, right? Goals. What are the goals? Okay, so maybe you can write down a short statement of the goals, right? What is your course trying to achieve, right? What are you trying to achieve with your students? Okay, and here are some examples. The course aims to, number 1, encourage students to communicate in a wide range of everyday situations. Okay, if you want to teach basic conversation, then this will be your goal, right? And number 2, sustain interest and motivation. Right? Motivation is very important, right? Number 3, help students understand and use the grammar rules, right? So you have different goals, right? So write down the goal, okay? What do you want to achieve at the end of the program? Okay, and think about the needs analysis. Remember, we talked about the needs, what our students need. Okay, so goals and the needs, there should be a connection, right? What do they need? What are the goals? Okay, so if you're teaching at a primary school, right, the goal may be to, if I want my students to achieve YLE flyers level. Okay, that's my goal. Fine. Okay, we all have different goals. Okay, so writing down the goal actually helps. Okay, when you are choosing the program, because you want to choose the book that matches with your goal, right? Okay, that's good. Now, if you look at Little Hands is our course book for kindergarten. Okay, so we provide information and we provide the goals. Okay, what do we want to do? What do we want to achieve with this series? Basic English language. Children learn simple vocabulary and useful expressions to communicate, right? This is the goal of this program. Okay. Specially designed activities help children use and retain the language while having fun. Having fun is another goal, right? And children read fun stories that help them relate to the people and world around them. Children also learn the alphabet and phonics to build a foundation for early literacy, right? This is the goal. And nurturing growth. Okay, so we have goal for children's growth. Okay, and we also have goal for CLIL. Okay, so look at the book, look at the program, and try to figure out the goal and see if that goal matches with your goal. Okay, that will be the key when you are choosing the program. Okay. Now let's move on to content and sequencing. Okay. So content is the language items, right? And skills and strategies and tasks, the things that you see in the program, okay? The things that you see in the book, okay? So vocabulary, grammar, okay, that's the content. And you need to check the syllabus when you're choosing the program, okay? Does it have linear syllabus? Does it have spiral syllabus? Or is it a modular syllabus? Okay, there are many different types of syllabus, okay? And what sort of tasks does it have? Okay, so let's look at the example. A conversation course should cover the important high-frequency vocabulary and structures and conversation activities, right? If your course is focusing on conversation, then it should have the conversation activities. I mean, that's very natural, right? So ask these questions. Number one, does the course cover and repeat the important language items? Okay, cover and repeat. Okay, so what are the vocabulary items? Okay, what grammar structures are covered in the book? Are there many activities to repeat? Okay, to review, to recycle. Okay, so you need to check both coverage and also repetition. And in what order do they occur? Okay, sequencing is also important. Okay, so how can you check this when you're choosing a book? How can you choose this? How can you think about these questions? What do you have to do? You can look at the scope and sequence. Okay, so we provide scope and sequence for all our books. Okay, so check out the scope and sequence. This is scope and sequence from Let's Smile Book 1. Okay, so Unit 1, the title is At School. And we have the vocabulary list. Okay, so we will teach board, bookcase, chair, and desk. Okay, so there are 4 words. And language and grammar. What grammar structure are we teaching in Unit 1? What is it? it's a desk. Okay, so that's the grammar structure. That's the language. That's the target. Okay, and conversation. Hello, I'm Mia. What's your name? Hi, my name's Smiley. Okay, that's the conversation that we are teaching. Okay, so go through scope and sequence, find out the vocabulary and the grammar structure that we have to teach, right? And see if the levels are okay. Okay, and see if all these things cover the things that you want to teach. Okay, and also are there review or repetition part. Okay, so for Let's Smile, we do review as a word link. So this is the review section. I guess there will be repetition. But it's not only the review unit, but we have review and recycling within the units as well. Okay, and I'll show you the example later on. So check scope and sequence, right? This is from Hand in Hand level 6. Okay, because this is the highest level, you can see that it's much more complex than book 1, right? So this one was Let's Smile book 1, and this is Hand in Hand book 6. If you look at the conversation, how was your weekend? Right? We have the past tense, right? It was great, and the conversation is more natural. We have longer sentences. Okay, words and grammar. Eat out at a restaurant, build a model plane, see a musical. Okay, now we have phrases, we have expressions. Okay, and grammar, what did she do on the weekend? So we have the past tense, right? So you can check the content and the sequence by looking at scope and sequence. Okay, so please check out scope and sequence when you're choosing the program. And I said that sequencing is very important, right? And sequencing is very important for phonics too, and grammar. Okay, so I'll talk about the sequencing now. So we have, let's look at this phonics series. We have many phonics programs. Right, so we have Little Phonics for kindergarten, and then we have School Phonics, Smart Phonics, EFL Phonics, and Speed Phonics. Right, we have 5 different phonics programs. Okay, and these are our best sellers. Actually, our phonics programs are very popular, and we got the award for Brand Customer Loyalty Award. And this is the best phonics system for EFL students. Okay, there are many phonics books and phonics programs, but when you're choosing the phonics program, remember your environment, EFL. Okay, so choose a program that's suitable for your students in your environment. And going back to sequencing, right? So this is the sequence that we use in all our phonics program. So even though we have 5 different books, 5 different programs, right? They all follow the same system, same sequencing. Okay, so this is how we progress. We start from single letter sounds, go to short vowels, and then long vowels, and then double letter consonants, and then double letter vowels. So this is the best sequence for EFL learners, right? So although we have 5 different phonics books, we follow the same system, right? So you can see that Smart Phonics and EFL Phonics have 5 books, right? Book 1, Book 2, Book 3, Book 4, Book 5. Speed Phonics has 3 books. Okay, book 1, book 2, book 3. But you can see that it still follows the same system, right? School Phonics has 4 books, right? Book 1, book 2, book 3, and book 4. You can see that, it still follows the same system and all the targets are there, right? Little Phonics is a little bit different. This is for kindergarten. So the level doesn't go all the way to book 5. Okay, you can see that there are 4 books in Little Phonics series, but the level only goes up to book 1 and book 2, right? If you look at Smart Phonics and EFL Phonics, right? Because this is for very young children, right? We divide the levels into 2 parts. So although there are 4 books, the level is same as book 1 and book 2 for our other phonics series. So when they finish book 4, they can move on to Smart Phonics book 3 or EFL Phonics book 3 or Speed Phonics book 2 or School Phonics book 3. Okay, this is possible because we follow the same system and it's very systematic. Okay, if you have any questions about our phonics program, we'll have a webinar. Okay, we'll have probably more than 1 webinar throughout the year. So don't worry, you'll find out more about it, right, later on. So it's very systematic, and yeah, I'm not going into the details, but I just want you to see how systematic it is, right? So the sequencing is important. The system is very important. And as I said before, the sequencing is important also for grammar. Okay, in grammar, you have to learn certain things before you move on to something else, right? The sequencing is very important. And also linking is very important. So our grammar series, my first grammar and my next grammar uses spiral syllabus. Okay, so here we have systematic link, review, and recycle, right, with spiral syllabus. Okay, most books follow linear syllabus. Okay, so you are probably very familiar with linear syllabus. So unit 1, nouns. Unit 2, pronouns. Unit 3, adjectives, right? And there's no link between the units. Okay, this is probably how you learned English grammar too, right? You study unit 1, and then when you move on to unit 2, there's no link between unit 1 and unit 2. So it's difficult to remember. It's difficult to connect. But if you use spiral syllabus, right? Unit 1, you learn nouns. And unit 2, you learn pronouns. That's the new target. But you also practice nouns. You make a link with pronoun and nouns. Right? And then you recycle. So there you always link and practice together so you remember. And when you move on to unit 3, adjectives are the new targets, but you also practice review nouns and pronouns and make a link. Okay, so in this way, you will remember better. Okay, you can connect and you can actually use the structure. Okay, so this is spiral syllabus. Link, review, and recycle. Okay, so let's go back to the scope and sequence of my first grammar. So here, this is book 1, book 2, and book 3. Okay, book 1, nouns and pronouns. So we learn nouns and pronouns, right? And within the book, there will be a link between the lessons, right? But also, there's a link with book 2. Okay, book 2, we have nouns, singular and plural nouns, count and non-count nouns, and article plus noun, there, be, and noun. Okay, so you practice noun here again, and you go deeper. Okay, there's an expansion. And if you look at book 3, again, we have nouns and pronouns here, right? Pronouns, nouns and articles, some, any plus noun. Okay, so can you see the progression and the expansion and the link? Okay, so this is the spiral syllabus. Okay, so going back to, let's go back to this content and sequencing, right? We were talking about the content and sequencing. Okay, so the question you need to ask when you're choosing a book is, does the book cover and repeat the important language items? In what order do they occur? Okay, so ask these questions to yourself when you are looking at a new program or a new book. Okay, now let's move on to format and presentation. Okay, so format, that's the lesson format. And it also includes teaching techniques and procedures. And presentation means how these are presented. Okay, what sort of activities? Okay, so the question you need to ask is, are they guided by principles of teaching and learning? Okay, so this is the part that you will see the most. Your students will see this because that's the lesson format, right? That's the activities. So let's look at the lesson format example from Little Hands. Okay, so these are the lessons. So lesson 1, we do warm up. Lesson 2, words and language. So we introduce the language and practice the language. Lesson 3, practice. Lesson 4, conversation. Okay, we use the language targets for conversation. Lesson 5, story. So we use the language targets for the story. Okay, so students can practice the language in the story. And then lesson 6, clear. Again, more practice using the target language, and we make a connection with the school subjects. Okay, and then lesson 7, art. Okay, so using an art project, so we'll be practicing the language. Lesson 8, unit link. Okay, so here we link the units, we link the targets. This is the spiral syllabus. Okay, so you can see the flow of the unit, right? So check the lesson flow of the unit. Okay, and check if it has the review, the recycle. Okay, and also check if it has lots of interesting activities. Okay, we have a lot of games and activities in our book. When you are teaching young children, these are very important, right? You need to have lots of fun games and fun activities. Otherwise, students will lose their motivation, right? They'll lose their interest. We want to make it fun, right? And when they're having fun, they can learn, they can practice, right? So lots of fun games and activities. So check if the book has a lot of activities. And if the activities are related to the teaching principles, right? And we also have song and dance routine for Little Hands. For young children, for very young children at kindergarten level, routine is very important. Okay, so see if the units have the routine. Okay, so if you look at hello and goodbye song here, so we have theme song, hello and goodbye song, and we have transition chant. Okay, let's look at hello and goodbye song part. The writing is very small, but you can probably read. Routine is key to establishing a happy and productive classroom for very young learners. Okay, so young learners like routine. Okay, so try to have the routine and see if the book or the program provide the routine. Okay, so they can start the lesson with hello song, and then they can finish the lesson with goodbye song. Okay, and also there are transition chant that you can use, right? When you are moving from one activity to another, you can do the transition chant. Okay, this is like a signal. Okay, so see if all these things are available in the course. Okay, and see if there are teaching techniques or teaching tips. Okay, you can usually check those from teacher's manual, right? And this is from Hand in Hand. We provide a section called Teaching Techniques, and we provide information about different teaching techniques. Okay, so there is a section about 21st century skills, right? And how to teach global awareness, technology in the classroom, eliciting, Okay, collaborative pairs, scaffolding. Okay, so these are all important teaching techniques, right? So see if there's information about these teaching techniques. What sort of teaching techniques are used in the program? Okay. And we also provide teaching tips. Okay, these teaching tips are from Little Hands, right? Activities and games, preparing and using materials, story fun. Okay, so what can you do when you're teaching, right? What sort of teaching tips you need? Okay, we all provide those information. Okay, so when you are choosing the books, of course, the content is important, but also, how to teach the book, how to teach the program is also very important, right? So yeah, check out the tips and the teaching techniques. Okay, so are you all okay? Yes, I hope you are having fun, right? Getting some useful information and tips. Okay, that's good. Then let's move on to number 4, monitoring and assessing, right? So assessment is a very important part of a course, right? You probably all agree on that. So we need to test the result of learning, right? We want to check if the student actually learned something or not, right? So there are many different types of tests: placement test, unit test, final test, achievement test, proficiency test. There are all these different tests. Okay, and see if the program that you are looking at provide all these tests. Right? Teachers are busy. We don't have time to make all these tests, right? We have many other things to do, right? So, if the program provides all these tests, then that's excellent, right? Otherwise, you will have to make all these tests, and making a test, it's not easy, right? It takes a lot of time and effort. Okay, so for eFuture books, we provide all these tests. We provide the placement test and achievement test and even proficiency test. Okay, so we provide YLE prep test for our course books, right? And you can use that to check the proficiency level of your students. It's not directly related to the achievement test, right? It's not what students learned from the course, but you want to test the proficiency level of your students, right? That's why we provide the YLE prep test. Okay. And we need to provide feedback to learners about their progress, right? That's why we write the report and all that. Okay. So check if the program provides the tests and assessment plan. So this is an example. This is from Let's Smile. Okay, so we provide, as I said before, we provide placement test and unit test, midterm test, more unit tests, and final test. Final test is the achievement test, right? And we provide the answer keys and everything, right? And as I said before, we also provide Cambridge Young Learners English Test, YLE test. Okay, so you can check your students' proficiency level. Okay. So when you finish Let's Smile level 1 and 2, then you can give starters level test. When they finish level 6, then you can give flyers level test. Okay. This assessment checklist is from Little Hands. Because Little Hands is for very young children, this is for kindergarten, right? So it's not easy to give a test, right? So if that's the case, you can use this assessment checklist, okay, to assess the student. So if you look at, let's look at the key language part. Okay, look at the key language. The child can say the following words. Okay. Book, chair, crayon table, right? That's the keywords. Okay, and see if the child can say the words. And then you check yes or no or some. Okay, and let's look at this. The child can ask and answer these questions. What is this? It's a crayon. Okay, yes or no. So you can go through this assessment checklist and assess your students. Okay, and we have conversation, and we have school subjects and phonics as well. Okay, so if you have this assessment kit available, then your life is a lot easier, right? Yeah, otherwise you'll have to make everything by yourself. Okay, so we looked at all the elements of this curriculum design process, right? Remember this, we started from here and now we finished. We looked at the environment, needs, and the principles. Okay, you can make a list, remember? And then we looked at the inner circle. We looked at the goals, okay? And we looked at the content and sequencing, format and presentation, monitoring and assessing. So we looked at all the elements, okay? And the circle outside this is called evaluation, okay? So when you look at all these elements, and then you can evaluate the program, okay? So you can decide whether to use this book, whether to adapt this program, okay? So that's your final evaluation. And at the end of the day, these are the questions to ask, right? Is this suitable for our students? Is this practical and realistic for my students? Is this program adaptable, flexible? Okay. Sometimes it's not easy to find a perfect program for you, right? So you might have to adapt or, change. So think about these questions, right? When you evaluate the program. And I mean, we are all teachers, right? We know our students. We are the best person, we know our students and we know what's good for our students, right? I'm sure you know that because we just know, right? So we know what's good. We know what's good for our students, okay? And you can use this diagram to guide your decision, okay? I hope this was useful for you, yeah? And there are more things to consider, okay? This is not it, right? There are more things to consider. So are there any supplementary program? Right now you chose the main program. Are there any supplementary program? Okay, my students need extra practice for grammar. Is there any grammar program that I can use together with our main course? Okay, you can ask that question as well. How about digital resources? Okay, with pandemic, many teachers are teaching online, right? Are there any digital resources available? Okay, how about teacher support? Okay, if I use this program, will there be any support for the teachers? Okay, so these are other things that you can consider when you are choosing a program. And for eFuture program, you can actually download this curriculum chart from eFuture website. Okay, you can also download a catalog from our website. And you can ask our partners as well, right? We have PDF catalog available. Okay, so if you look at eFuture program, we have phonics program, we have primary course book and kindergarten course book, and we have readers that you can use together with your main program. And we also have skill books, right? We have reading skill book, we have grammar book, writing, listening. Okay, so we have all 4 skills, right? Okay, so because we follow YLE curriculum, okay, so our focus is mainly on kindergarten and primary. Okay, and this is the level that we focus on, right? YLE, starters, movers, flyers, and CFR A1, A2, B1, B2. Okay, and we use the vocabulary and grammar structure from CFR. Okay, so the good thing about eFuture program is that if you want to use supplementary program, just look at this chart. Okay, so for example, if you are using, let's say, Smart English Book 1, okay, if you're using Smart English Book 1, and you want to use some readers, okay, to reinforce reading skills, or maybe you want to try extensive reading, okay, so if you want to use readers together with the main course book, then just, just look across the chart. Okay, so you go this way, follow the arrow. So from Smart English, you can use Magic Adventures, or Vera the Alien Hunter, or Classic Readers. Okay, because the levels match, you can choose the program from the chart. If you want to reinforce the grammar skill for your students, right, then you can use my first grammar series. Okay. If you want to do more practice with writing, then you can use my first writing series together with Smart English series. Okay, so this is how you can use the chart. Okay, so look across the chart and find the books that match the level. Okay, so this is the kindergarten curriculum from eFuture. So we have the main program, Little Hands. And we have supplementary program that you can use together with the main program. We have phonics, Little Phonics, and we have phonics readers. And we also have nursery rhyme readers. So these are stories based on nursery rhymes. So you can sing together, you can read the story together. Okay, perfect reader for kindergarten students. And then we have primary curriculum. We have 3 main programs: Smart English, Hand in Hand, and Let's Smile. Okay, and throughout the year, we'll have webinar on to introduce our main program. And we'll also have an expert, Ken Beatty, Professor Ken Beatty. He will explain how to teach listening and speaking, reading and writing to primary school students using our course books as examples. Okay, so yeah, I'm not going into the details of comparing the series or talking about the main features of the series, but I just want to let you know that we have 3 different course book series for primary. And the good news, we have Smart English 2nd edition coming up, right? So we'll announce the launching of the 2nd edition Smart English maybe later this year. Okay, so I'm looking forward to that. And with the main program, you can use the skill books as supplementary program. Phonics, and my first reading, my first grammar, my first writing, listen up, and readers, classic readers, and comic readers. Okay, and this is our secondary program. So we don't have the secondary course book, but we have secondary reading program: Reading Town, Reading World, and Reading Planet. So these are reading program for secondary students, and they can develop their reading skills, and they can also prepare for TOEIC or TOEFL exams. Okay, and these are all non-fiction passages. Okay, so if you want to have a balance between non-fiction and fiction, then you can use classic readers together with Reading Town, Reading World, Reading Planet. Okay. And we also have online platform, and with the pandemic, online platform is getting more important because teachers want to teach online, okay, or they have to teach online in some cases, right? So we have ebooks available on our eSmart class. That's the online platform. So you can use that with interactive whiteboard if you're teaching in class. If you're teaching online, you can use our ebook for online class. Okay. And we have ELibrary as well, right? So we turned all our readers, the paper books, into ebooks. And so you can use ebook to read graded readers. And we also provide support for the teachers. This is another very important element when you're choosing the program, okay? Because we provide teacher training, and we provide curriculum consulting, and we provide lots of resources. So yeah, we do a lot of teacher training, we do webinars, and we provide videos, and we travel to your country, and we do offline training as well. And we provide curriculum consulting, and lots of videos on our YouTube channel. So please check out eFuture YouTube channel. You'll find lots of videos there. Okay, so you will find training videos, webinar videos, model lesson videos. Okay, so please check out our YouTube channel. Activity ideas and teaching tips. Okay, it's all there. And as I said before, we have lots of resources and materials for you to use. So a lot of downloadable materials, worksheets and tests. And we also have online practice and mobile app. Okay, if your internet connection is not good, then it's probably easier to use mobile app, because we provide audio tracks, and we provide digital flashcards and fun games, fun vocabulary games on our mobile app, and it's all free for you to download and use. Okay, and yeah, so these are our partners. Okay, if you want more information about our books, okay, you can contact our partners. And this is the email address if you want to ask us any questions. If you have any feedback, you can email us to inquiry@eltkorea.com. And my colleagues are posting some useful websites and channels in the chat box. Okay, so Facebook, Instagram, website, eSmart Class. Okay, so here we are. So eFuture on social media. Okay, so check out our social media. And that's all, I think. Do you have any questions? Now, are you feeling more confident about designing your own curriculum or choosing a program for your class or your school? Yeah, I hope this session was useful for you. And remember the model, remember the circles, right? Curriculum design progress circles. Okay, so remember that and use that as a guide, okay, when you are choosing the books or choosing the program. Okay, and there's a survey, okay, and my colleagues are posting the link for the survey. Okay, so please give us some feedback. Okay, and if you have any questions, yeah, please ask us. Okay, so thank you very much for joining our first webinar of 2022, and we have many more webinars coming up, and they're all very interesting, exciting, and useful. Okay, so hopefully we can see you again next month. Okay, and thank you for joining us today, and thank you, and have a nice day, and good night for some of you. Okay, and see you next month. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.